That's a sleeper and what I call the old faithful, because we couldn't handle the volume of leads or the influx of leads that were coming in.
So it's called the puker report because when you saw
Makes
it,
you puke.
you would puke.
The homeowner can hear a rooster,
Yeah.
cock-a-doo-doo-doo in the background, right? And then the homeowner's like, are you calling me from a place of business? Going through a divorce and I need to sell my house fast. The unconventional way. We got tired of dealing with Filipinos.
Get the money and it's right on cue. Keep the duffel bag up inside my coupe. Hold a couple racks, tell them I love you. You wanna be a boss, do it like I do. Yeah. Get that money, I'ma flex. I get that money, I'ma flex. I get that money, I'ma flex. You now rockin' with the best.
Welcome back to the Proferty Podcast, where we help you turn your property into profits and we keep real estate real. So last week's episode, we were breaking down some marketing channels that are little to no money out of your pocket, right? We went over all kinds of different marketing channels, from bandit signs to door knocking to flyers to, I mean, you name it, we throw it in there. So catch last week's, if you didn't catch last week's show, go back to it and go ahead and take a look at that, because you're going to get a lot of insight. And also, we also delivered what we promised you, which is a link with every contract and every script that you need to get your operation going today. And that's at no charge. And you know what? We'll do that. We'll throw that down there on this episode also, just to make sure that you get it. But today, this is why you probably want to stick around. As promised, we said we were going to deliver paid marketing channels, right? Our top paid marketing channels, and which ones are like what we would do if we were starting all over again. But so with that being said, I want you to stick around. I am going to introduce my co-host. To my right here, I got Mr. Ryan.
What's cracking?
Over Cash. And to my left, I got Max El Cerrador Jimenez. El Cerrador.
What's up, fellas? What's cracking?
It was like a boxing introduction, bro. Right?
Oh.
Jimenez. Anyway, I always wanted to be a ring announcer.
A ring announcer?
Buffer, huh?
I would have. Yeah, I think it's cool. Anyway,
Yeah. Cool,
right?
brother.
So, paid marketing channels, fellas. Why don't we just go over some basic paid marketing channels out there? Let's name them. Right. So, anybody out there that's watching or listening to this, pull your pen, get your notebook out, and just start taking notes, because that's what this is about. And this is about educating, right?
Yeah, not only that, you want to make sure that you pull your pens out and notebooks, because we're going to give you a strategic plan. Let's say if you had only $1,000 a month to spend on marketing or $1,500 a month to spend on marketing. So it's very, very important that you do that.
You're getting all the free game here, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Right.
here. I'm here specifically to get the free game.
We're giving we're giving our listeners and our viewers the free game, because a lot of gurus out there will say, "Hey, you want some free game, right?
Here's the link.
Here's the link. Pay me $10,000 an hour, right?" Well, that's not what we're doing here at the Proferty Podcast, right? We want to give you as much value as we can. And with that being said, let's start naming off some paid marketing channels. I'll start with one of my favorite, Google AdWords, aka PPC, also known as pay-per-click, right? So I'll throw it out there. Name me one.
I want to name the most common one, which I think it's the most economical, not the most efficient, but cold calling.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I'd rather get more at bats, right? And so
Especially early. Yeah, you want to get more conversations.
As you work on your skill set, as you work on your conversation skills, right? To have better conversations and learn how to qualify prospects. Cold calling is one of my favorite ones.
I love it. What about you, Mr. Ryan Overcash?
Yes, no, I agree with Max with the cold calling, as far as that's the best way to get started. But once you get your budget up and running, you've got a couple deals. Our biggest deals in the past have always come from mailers, direct mail. So that's usually been one
That's
of
a
my
sleeper.
favorite.
Yeah, that is a sleeper.
That's a sleeper, and what I call the old faithful.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So most of the gurus in the game, right, especially the ones that are way out of sync,
Yeah.
right, and they're out of touch with what the industry is today, right. That's how they used to try to fix their students' problems.
Yep.
You're not getting enough leads? Send more mail.
Yep.
Send more mail. You're not getting deals? Send
that.
more mails, right? So there's a problem with that. One, right? We've been through what some would call marketing waves in the past, where direct mail specifically there was a lot of competition in that when it comes to that marketing channel, and then it went from direct mail to cold calling, right? Like cold calling, and then cold calling to text blasting, right? And then text blasting to pay-per-click, right? And then now the popular thing for everybody is PPL, which is pay-per-lead from lead generating companies out there, and national pay-per-click, right?
Yeah,
so those are kind of the big ones right now. And watch this. I started my first national pay-per-click campaign in 2016. That was the first time that I ever. But it's funny because people out there think like they rediscovered fire.
They invented it.
I'm like, I don't say anything, but like, dude, I've been doing national pay-per-click since 2016.
Yeah.
I had to shut it off in September of 2017 because we couldn't handle the volume of leads or the influx of leads that were coming in. I had to shut it off.
Yeah.
I had to be like, okay, I'm going to just have to I'm going to have to keep Vegas on, Arizona on, California on, and Texas on. That was September of 2017 because in 2016, we launched a small national campaign of about 5 markets, and we spent $7,500. And we made over 120 grand in gross revenue. So we were like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, turn it on, right? And we started turning it on in all kinds of places. We had no idea what we were doing. But over the years, we have spent millions of dollars on Google AdWords campaigns. And, we know what to look for so that we know we're running an efficient and an effective campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carlos, you kind of glossed over a key point there, just to go back to it right in the beginning. When it comes to marketing, right? We want more leads. We think we want more leads, and all of a sudden, it could be counterproductive to where you're starting to miss out on.
That's a great point right there.
So that again, you want to make sure you know what you can handle.
Absolutely, and let me tell you why that's such a great point, brother. Because people don't know this, but my entire almost 11-year history now in this game, I would say between 40. It's always by the way, no lower than 40, right? It's about 42%, but my deal flow has always fluctuated from follow-ups.
Yeah.
Between 40 to 50% of my deals. That's what people don't talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody always gets caught up on, I need new leads, I need new leads, I need new leads. 40 to 50% of my deals historically have come from following up 8 to 12 times on those prospects.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we a few years back, right, Ryan, we hired a company. I'm not going to say the name, but for specifically for mailers. They were a predictive analytical company, so they could predict that Carlos was going to sell their property to an investor in 6 months based on what was happening with, like, say, your credit, based on what's happening.
Print mail?
No. This was
Because they're
company.
pretty.
These guys were
some
like
of these people are
data.
evolving.
Data scientists. You know what I'm saying? And so it's funny you say that because Ryan, you remember this, the Puka report, right? And they called it the Puka report because what they would do is they would analyze all your data and they would have this. It was almost like a competition, right? It was a competition. It was a competition. That's right, to see who was best at follow up. Out of their customers, and then what they do is they give you the report back, and you would see how many deals sold in your own market, and you had them in your own list, and that's why it was called the Puka report, because when you saw it, you would puke.
Someone else got them.
Someone else got them. Yeah.
For instance, one I'll never forget. It said follow up in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or 3 months.
Someone else got them.
They even took less money and
sold.
And
sold it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
That tells you that tells you right there that either your follow-up process wasn't efficient, right?
Right.
Or you just had the wrong, acquisition guys that someone didn't lock it up when the motivation was there, right?
Yeah, you have two things, right? You have a personnel issue or you have a system issue, right? So you got to find that good balance of allowing the system to do a lot of the heavy work, and then because personnel's closers, man, they're just out there looking for that new kill, the new stuff, and it's the follow up. They're not the best follow up agents. This was before lead managers, by the way, before we discovered that there was lead managers, right? So you're always having to fight that balance of having a good follow up process in your CRM. And making sure that the team's following up, and like I said, this was before really discovering, how powerful the lead manager position was, right? So, but you're right, follow up is key, man. Like most people always want new leads and don't realize like new leads are a gamble. You don't know. Now, if it's a PPC lead, well, obviously you want to make sure that you're on top.
The temperature's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, temperature's gonna be good. They just filled out they just filled out your form and 10 other forms. So you need to call them, right? And so, but again, it's still the follow up is where
absolutely,
the riches are,
absolutely. Back to what you just said about PPC. What I love about PPC, the reason why, in our opinion, they're the hottest leads, it's because they're nobody's guessing, right? So it's very simple. There's a motivated prospect who is in a situation where he or she needs to sell their property, and they want to do it fast, and they want to do it. They literally type in the words of what
Sell
they're
my house
specifically looking for, right? And then boom, they see your ad, right? They'll see like on the top of the page, they'll see three to four ads. I think it's 3 ads, and on the bottom they'll see another 3 to 4 ads or whatever, and everything in between is kind of organic, which is search engine optimized, right?
Right.
But on the top, a lot of people say that you want to fluctuate between number 1, number 2, right? And at the end of the month, it gives you a report of where your average was. Like if your average positioning was 2.1, then you more than likely sat on that second position a lot, which is still good, because a lot of people say that the second ad from those 3 ads is the best position to be in.
Got it.
Aesthetically, just for the eye. I know bro. Everything is data driven, right?
That's crazy.
So imagine this. I go to Google. I'm in a situation. I'm going through a divorce, and I need to sell my house fast, the unconventional way, right? And I'm like, sell my house fast for cash. Boom. Google gives me a search. Now I have the ads, and I'm like, okay, let me. Number 1 looks pretty good. I like number 2. Clicks on 2. Let's just say it's your ad. That's going to cost you, in most cases, $20 to $30 just for that person to click.
Yeah, for the click.
Now that person's going to come in, right? Now that person's going to look at your page. And what you want to try to identify is who you are, what you do, how you do it, and how you can do it for them, right? So now it's like, okay, is that message there?
Yeah.
Right? Proferty, we buy America's friendliest home buyers. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, and then we explain the process of like, we'll buy your house fast for cash, no hassles, blah blah blah. Right? Okay, cool. I like what I'm seeing, and then the optimization has to be there also.
Yep.
Right. There has to be multiple options for me to hit a button and call or fill out the web form, because the only 2 ways that you're going to capture that lead, it's either they're going to click the button and it's going to directly call one of your acquisition guys, or they're going to fill out the web form and then it's going to come into your CRM. Right.
Yeah.
So now we just identify that your page has to be optimized.
Right.
Right. Now comes number 3, which is as equal or more important, who is handling that call?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like Max said, you want to be the last call they make, right? You want to spend 20 to 30 to 40 minutes on that call.
Yep.
If it's a short call, that means there was no connection. And I'm sure we're going to get into sales training in the future.
Right.
But more than likely, you gave them enough time to be like, oh, that was only about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Let me see what the next person has to offer. Now, they have a conversation with you that lasted 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, whatever, and they just pour out their entire life to you. They don't have the energy to be like, let me do that all over again.
No,
right?
because they're emotionally invested, but we'll talk about that.
Exactly. So, in my opinion, pay-per-click, that's why I consider it the hottest, right? Because there's a prospect that's looking for you, and they've already filtered themselves. They put themselves through a filtration process, right? By searching, clicking, filling out the form, right?
Yeah.
So they automatically put themselves through a filtration process.
What about the people, Carlos, that ask, well, hey, if everyone's doing pay-per-click, how do I get myself seen?
Not everybody's doing pay-per-click. That's what there's a lot of misconception out there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Everybody thinks that everybody's doing everything that everybody's doing, right? Like that's not the case, dude. right? And if everybody's doing what you're doing, then how are you still making money? Or if everybody's doing what you're doing, then you just have to be better.
Yeah.
You know, right? So, Nike's not concerned of what Reebok's doing. Hey, what kind of shoe are they designing over there? Nike doesn't care about Reebok.
Coke was never concerned with what Pepsi was doing.
Yeah, and they're both disgusting, by the way. People shouldn't drink soda at all, right? Or
Any of that, yeah.
yeah, or excuse me, Coke wasn't concerned of what's the cheap ones that they sell?
Dr. Pibb.
Dr. Pibb or Cola One, right? Whatever, right?
RC
You know what I mean?
Cola,
RC Cola, yeah, yeah, bro. Like, are you the Coke or the RC Cola, right? You know, are you Nike or are you Fila, right? So again, you can't you got to have the abundant mindset of like, oh, everybody's doing PPC. No, dude. Then that means so you're saying then everybody's a real estate investor.
Right.
No, bro, there's 330 million people. I would say less than 1% of those people are in the industry of real estate.
To add one more filter to that is that, okay, let's just say you have, I won't say everybody, but let's just say you have a lot of players, right, Ryan? Because you brought up a very good point. But how many are actually doing like you're saying now, tie that in together at a very high level where it matters?
Absolutely.
Because most of them will tap dance. Most of them will, skirt around the fact of doing it. Most of them.
Less than 10%.
Exactly, right?
Less than 10%. Because you know what? I keep saying this over and over now. Most people are running a $1 to $5 million hustle.
Yeah, right.
There's no systems, there's no processes, there's no leadership, there's no core values, there's no environment, there's no culture.
Yep.
You see, there's no tracking and measuring. There's none of that. There's no how going reviewing financials. Their form of reviewing financials are what comes into the bank account and what goes out of the bank account.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no cash flow report, there's no P&Ls, there's no balance sheet. You see, they don't look at all of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's no projection. There's no quarterly meetings. Yeah. There's no level 10s, weeklies, right? There's no sales huddles. People aren't doing that, bro.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
They're not. And guess what? Even if you show them how to do it, right? Through this podcast, like, we're going to be very transparent and talk about everything we're doing, right? Even if I heard that's what they're doing. Oh, I know that's what they're doing. They still won't do it. You know why? Because change is painful.
Oh, yeah.
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Can you imagine, bro, if I go up to, let's just say one of the guys out there that's making 105 mil, okay? We'll just say John Doe, right? I go up to John Doe. He's crushing it in his national pay-per-click campaign, right? He has, 5 guys.
Yep.
He thinks he has structure. He thinks he has leadership, right? He thinks very highly of himself, which most people do, right? But at the end of the day, this is what you have to. It's like if you say, "Hey, brother, so what's your cost per lead running you at right now?" Most people say, "I don't know." Okay, what's your cost per deal? What's your lead to contract conversion? What's your contract cancellation ratio, right? What does your leadership look like? What does your mid-level management look like, right? What do you have? Do you have any upper management? Any directors? Any C-suites?
Yeah.
Right. Do you have do you have departments in your company? Do you have a financial department?
Yeah.
Who does the hiring? You do the hiring? Oh, you do it through social. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. Like, and I know probably, well, Carlos, I've seen you post stuff. Yeah, I do it, but we have an HR department.
Yeah. Yep.
I do it just because I do it, right? But and we never really get anything out of it because the HR department that we have here internally, they actually have done a great job in finding us people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
100%.
So, by the way, think of all your average wholesale company out there. Do they have an HR department?
Yeah. No.
Absolutely not. Right? Do they have a marketing department? Absolutely not.
No.
Do they have a sales department? Right?
No.
Well, yeah. Actually, most people have acquisition managers, right? But they haven't departmentalized, right? Again, because they're just running a month-to-month hustle, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, not everybody's structured, bro. I mean, let's be honest, right?
It's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, people are running around here, just winging things, and and then they realize, like, how come I'm not growing? How come I'm not developing? How come I'm not X, Y, Z? Whatever the case may be. Well, that's what we just talked about, right? Now that takes a long time to get there. But like Ryan said, it's uncomfortable, right? It demands. It's the biggest thing is that it's going to demand for you to grow as an individual.
Yeah.
And we all have that hustle mentality, and we don't ever break through that barrier of changing from a hustle mentality to like actually building
to a
business,
professional,
to a professional,
to
right,
a real
yeah.
business
Exactly.
man
Yeah.
or woman, right?
It's tough. I listen. I've been there. I think we all been there, right?
Bro, I thought
Yeah.
for like 8 years that I had some structure.
Yeah.
Oh, we got acquisition managers. We got
Right.
a dispo department. We have a TC. You know, we have transaction department, transaction coordination department. Right. Oh, we have an accounting department. Like I thought I was structured for a very long time, for years and years. And guess what? I was actually. Our wholesale industry is it lacks so much structure that the little structure that I did have, that was more structure than 99% of the people out
absolutely.
there. So therefore I was able to help them
Yeah.
structure, somewhat, right? But obviously now it's a whole different level. And clearly what's going on specifically with you guys upstairs reflects that there is structure, that there is direction,
Right.
that there is leadership.
Yeah.
Right. We're bagging right now. We're having a record month for as far as the existence of Proferty, the company. We're having a record month, right? We got 4 deals yesterday. Mm-hmm. We're probably up to 20, close to 30 deals this month.
Yeah. This month.
I mean, we're having record months. That doesn't happen by accident. That is years and years and years collectively with everybody involved of hitting the concrete.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And having zero tolerance and having no more time to waste, right? So that's what it takes. By the way, let's go back to pay-per-click. Now, you said you also like PPL.
Yeah.
Talk to us about PPL. What is PPL?
So PPL is pay per lead. The lead quality is similar to pay per click because it's originated from that source. The only difference is when you do PPC, you obviously have to run your own campaigns. If you do it that way, right? You have your own PPC account, AdWords, or your negative keywords. PPL, you have a company that does that, and they basically you buy that lead off of them for a certain price, right? Some PPL companies sell you leads for $30, depending on where the lead is. Some you'll
$100 to $200.
Yeah, $100 to $200. But what I love about that is that you're able to monitor at a higher level your budget, right? Because you can set a budget. Say, I want to buy 100 of those 30 leads. Well, then now you have that budget set because that number is not going to change compared to, let's say you have your PPC. Yeah, PPC you can set a budget, but also how many leads are you going to get for that budget? You see what I'm saying? Because people can click on your link, but that doesn't mean that they're going to come through your website and you're still getting charged, right? So I like PPL.
It's becoming very popular.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can have a
PPL's
competitor that'll go and click on your link. Obviously, Google's a little smart when it comes. Not a little. I want to say they're catching up, but competitors will still go and click on your link and charge you, charge you up to $500, $600. Like, we've seen it happen before. But PPL I love because you can control it. You don't have to run your own campaigns, and the quality is still there when it comes to the lead quality. Anyways, yeah.
Got it. PPL.
Yeah.
Is there different levels of PPL, Max? Meaning, like, say, there's exclusive pay-per lead versus, or when they buy a lead, does that mean they're still competing with other people? How does that work?
I think they you ask them that question, they're probably not going to disclose that.
I would say
but
most PPL companies, they're supposed to.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be proprietary, right? So I give you you buy a lead from me, it's your lead, right? It's in my opinion. Unless it's disclosed up front, hey, I'll give you leads at $30 as opposed to $100, but everybody's taking a shot at them, right?
So there's one PPL company that we used a while back, and you set a budget. So you say, okay, in Phoenix, my budget is $200 a lead. Of course, if someone has a budget of $250, you're always going to get beat out. And I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
There was one time,
Florida,
one time there was a. We had the budget set at $200, and so whoever had it higher than us stopped buying for that moment, and we ended up getting, I would say we ended up getting like 12 leads, brother, for $200 back to back to back to back because that person, whoever was above us with the higher budget, stopped. They stopped their spending, and so we got hit. So there's leads those are more exclusive because you're hitting the number, right? You're the highest bidder for that lead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So PPL is becoming a very, very popular. Like I think the three most popular marketing channels right now are Google AdWord campaigns, right, aka pay-per-click, right? PPL, which are pay per lead. Those are you're paying a lead generating company that is they're experts at digital leads, or they can also have cold call leads, but more than likely it's digital leads.
Yep.
Right. That's becoming a very popular marketing channel. And then the third most popular marketing channel remains, strong, which is cold calling.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Cold calling is still one of those marketing channels that it caught steam, a lot of steam back in 2016, and it hasn't died down. It's stronger than ever, right? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's interesting that we say that it caught. I think it caught steam in the wholesale real estate world, but cold calling's been
Been around for absolutely. But
right?
you're right. Real estate wholesaling is when I saw it really catch.
I remember, it was you guys actually that I saw that you guys were one of the first ones that I saw. You guys took cold calling
we went hard,
and you
bro.
guys went really hard.
Yeah. So let me tell you how that story happened. And by the way, shout out to Call Geeks, right? If anybody needs cold callers, go to callgeeks.com. They'll get you squared away. We've been using callers from or agents from Call Geeks since 2017. And very ethical company, obviously, but this is how Call Geeks actually started. We got tired of dealing with Filipinos.
Yeah.
And at some point back in like 15 and 16, Sal was training the Filipinos.
Damn.
Right. And it was tough. It was tough for him, right? Because the culture was so different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That at some point, one of the Filipino agents told Sal, or actually a call was recorded, and the Filipino agent asked the homeowner, right, if they had a bamboo roof. And then as he was asking that question to the homeowner can hear a rooster,
Yeah.
cock-a-doo-doo-doo in the background, right? And then the homeowner's like, are you calling me from a place of business? Right? Can you imagine that? Hey, Mr. Homeowner, do you have what type of roof do you have? It was like, yo, what do you got? Where are you calling me from? A farm? Anyway, right? So then obviously we've been dealing with Call Geeks for a very long time.
We know Philippine people very well, bro. Yeah,
and then by the way, there are some really good Filipino companies out there. But it always comes down to structure, right? Exactly. Organization, structure, leadership, service. But cold call, right? Let's break some of these KPIs down. For pay per click, like if you're doing local pay per click, depending on what market you're in, because it does vary, right? Like if you're in Arizona, your cost per lead is gonna fluctuate maybe between $100 to $180.
Yeah, in Arizona it's high,
right? It's high. If you go to California, it's higher,
even higher.
I mean, you can be in the 200s, right? If you are in, but if you're in Alabama, then you're between $60 and $90 cost per lead. So that's gonna fluctuate. Now that's why a lot of wholesale companies are casting a wide net, and they're going really wide across the country, 15, 20, 30 markets, right? Because now what it does as you open that up, right? Your cost per lead significantly drops. And for that, you could be anywhere from $30 to $80 cost per lead, depending on how big your national campaign is. So therefore now it's almost like your cost per lead on the national campaign is like cold call leads. Yeah. The cost per lead you would generally pay in a cold call campaign, right?
I mean, also too, like not only the cost per lead, but the lead amount necessary to get a deal is going to be a lot higher, say in a market like Arizona and California, versus like a market in North Carolina or Alabama, right? Like I'm pretty like right now, you're probably anywhere between 50 to 60 cold call leads per one deal here in Arizona. Where North Carolina, you're probably anywhere between 20 to 30, like half of that. So that's also something to consider too when you're looking at that.
And that's why KPIs are so important for anybody out there that's watching or listening. I don't care what marketing channel you're running, track it, right? If you're spending the money, track it, right? Where's your cost per lead? what's your lead to contract conversion? How many leads is it taking your rep or you to get a deal, right? And then what's your cancellation? What's your cancellation ratio?
Your conversion rate, cancellation ratio. All
Exactly.
That,
All these metrics are very important if you just want to have a grip on your business, if you want to be an efficient business owner. So,
absolutely.
all right, we talked about pay-per-click, we talked about PPL, we talked about cold calling, right?
Yep.
And then Facebook's becoming very popular now. I remember when I was running Facebook campaigns back in 2018 and 19, and I was paying between $100 and $150 cost per lead. So it has gotten significantly better.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we're paying around $73 cost per lead. I would like to get it down to about $60 cost per lead. But Facebook, it just all depends on the messaging, right? And the creativity of the ad.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
I've been seeing some of our ads on Facebook, and I'm like, oh man, that's creative. It was like a ad of Arnold or somebody, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
yeah,
like, we want to buy your house, or like Terminator style, you know. So if you get creative, I mean, that's always, it's always very tasteful, you know, for somebody out there that's like, you know, a motivated seller. And
Yeah,
they see
you know,
that.
and believe it or not, if someone fills out your Facebook form, like your ad, that leads. Remember, we did the testing between how the conversion of Facebook leads versus PPC is a little bit higher because, I mean, how many Facebook ads have you filled out? Think about that. right?
Absolutely.
So if someone fills out that Arnold ad that's got the whatever he's carrying and he says, "I'll buy your house," as is, like, you know, that's a serious seller. Bro.
Absolutely.
They're not Googling "sell my house fast for cash." They're looking at an ad that has Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, "I'll buy your house."
Absolutely.
Think about
It's pretty
that.
serious. It's pretty aggressive, right?
Yeah.
So if I had to start all over from square one, how would I get my first deal with the knowledge I have today? It just depends on my budget, right? We talked about budgets earlier. Like if I had $1,000, I probably wouldn't go the pay-per-click route.
No,
I
absolutely.
might not even go the PPL route.
No.
I'll go cold calling all day. You know, I'll pull 10 to 30,000 records.
Yeah.
Right. I think the blended cost to me per record would be 1 cent to pull and then 5 to 6 cents to skip. So let's just say I'm at 6 cents total, right? So do the math.
Yeah. So if you're at 5 cents total, you're gonna be somewhere around with skip tracing, you're gonna be somewhere around $500, I believe.
For what, 10,000
records? Yeah.
10,000 records should be enough for you to get a deal if you really dial it in, right?
And then if you hire one cold caller part time for, let's say, like 20 hours a week.
Well, that's if you are not doing the dialing yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah,
If you're
'cause you
doing
can
the
do it
dialing
yourself.
yourself, go to allindialer.com.
Yeah, that's true.
Allindialer.com. It's provided by Ready Mode. You just get a discount of I think it's like 20%.
Yeah.
And get, you know, start dialing yourself.
Yeah,
now, if you are, this is my advice for you. Like if I had to start from square one, I'm gonna go around the room what each of you would do, right? You may never know. Ryan might say I might start door knocking, right? Like everybody's gonna have a different. Mine is it would be cold calling, and this is the scenarios I'm giving you. If I had the time to spend 4 to 6 hours a day, like if I had money and no time, I would hire. I would hire an agent, right?
Agent, yeah,
I would go to
cold
callgeeks.com and hire an agent.
Yep.
Right. And so all I would do is I would give them the records, I would give them my data, and have them dial away, right? And then all I would do with my time is call those interested prospects. That's where all my time would go.
Yeah.
Now, if I had some money and a lot of time, then I would just dial myself for 4 to 6 hours, right, every single day, and try to get my own deal there. You know, use the scripts and the trainings that are provided here down in the link section, and just start dialing myself. So that's what I would do. I would dive into cold calling. What about you?
For me, I got to stick with my strengths, Carlos, and that's what I suggest is your superpower. Acquisitions is not. I don't have patience for sellers. So I'm more on the disposition side, as you guys know. So I build relationships, and I'm really big on just going and meeting people face to face. When I meet people face to face, I'm really just because for me, again, my superpower is when I meet people, they're like, all right, this guy's real. I believe he can deliver, and then from there it's just going out and getting. Right?
Okay,
I can
so-
control that. I go out and get what they're looking for, bring
Okay.
it right back to them.
Okay. So then you would JV.
Yeah, I'm relationship
JV all
long.
day.
JV.
Which is, by the way, there's a whole franchise out there that exists, right?
Yeah.
That was started on JV, right? So, I mean, the concept has proven itself to be successful. What about you? What would you
Man,
do? What would Big Max do?
If I was
Dude,
starting
all
over,
one-man band. Oh, Max.
if I was starting over and here in Phoenix again, I would go literally downtown to the city hall. I would buy the code enforcement list. It would cost me $12.50, and make sure that you take the 50 cents and the $12 because they don't have any change.
They won't even accept it if you give them 20.
It's a 5,000 total records of properties that have already been driven for dollars. It's the city saying, "Hey, you got to fix your bricks. Hey, what your house?"
They
is
did the
boarded up."
work for you.
They did the work for you, and I would skip trace that and cold call it.
There
I would
it
buy
is.
a dialer. Yeah,
There it is.
Yeah,
Yes, because that even, Max, remember, those come out before it hits prop stream. And
those
all
come
the
out
other-
before
Yep.
that. Yep.
So-
And here's the thing: it's like it's. I mean, some guys like door knocking, some guys like drawing for dollars on the street. But if I get this list and I cold call it myself, I can talk to 600 to 700 people a day, or
There you go.
make those dials, right?
Got
and 10% contact ratio, I'm talking about 100 people a day.
There you go. And you're making about 15 offers a day or something,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
For anybody
By the
out
way,
there,
that was a tip. So for you guys that are in Arizona, go get that list. By the way,
and it's probably
I have the
available.
contact information still. on the
There you
person.
go.
Yep, the phone
It's probably
number, the
available
email.
for anybody. It's probably available in multiple cities.
yeah,
too,
yeah, multiple
right?
cities, yeah. You just
Exactly.
go down and ask for the code enforcement list.
So shameless plug. Pull data. Go to prospectx.com. Pull the data. Skip trace the data with prospectx.com.
Yep.
You can also use it as a CRM. And then again, like I said, go to All In Dialer or just hire an agent from CallGeeks or Fiverr or anywhere else and get to work. So 2 guys here said they would cold call. 1 guy said he would JV. So there is no right or wrong answer, right? One size doesn't fit all, you know? It's literally, it's like, how much time do you have? How much money do you have? What's the type of skill set you have?
Exactly.
So, okay, great. So I love the questions that our crew put together for us. Shout out to
Shout
Cam.
out.
for
Shout
that,
out,
right?
shout out,
Big
Cam.
Right. Real quick, what are some tactics you use? We have been using and used to use that still work in the modern day industry today. I believe that we've already talked about that, right? Tactics that are still working today is pay per click, cold calling, right, and also just being having the skill set on the acquisition side is very important. Also,
Yeah, yeah.
That's
right.
common. They
So those will never, in my opinion, those will never got to stop.
Nah,
You also
they're-
mentioned direct mail. Direct mail, it's one of the least utilized channels today, which is a good sign for many investors out there. We used to send a lot of direct mail, hundreds of thousands of units every single month. It was quarter 2 and quarter 3. So that's what, according to our data over, historically, quarter 2 and quarter 3 is when we would get our biggest returns.
Can I talk to you about a little story about direct mail?
Yeah.
So, direct mail is interesting, right? Because you said it's one of those quiet, marketing channels. The thing is that you have to be very consistent, right? Minimum 90 days.
That's
you
right.
cannot do
Commit
it.
to 90
Yeah,
days,
90
yeah.
days or 6 months. Like
Got it.
under that, you can't do that. And your data matters as well too, where you buy the data from.
Absolutely.
It is very important that you get accurate data because if you don't, you just wasted money, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you a story about a property, and I'm going to tell you how much we made on this deal. So we were sending out mailers. We had the data from that same company. They were data scientists and stuff, and so they only had 4 licenses here in Phoenix, so we were one of them. And so sent out mailers. This lady calls, house on 27th Avenue in School. How's that area for you? 27th Avenue in School.
That's Maryville area, right?
Before Maryville. I mean, that's pretty.
Oh, right before, yeah.
right
It's
before,
it's
before the
pretty,
bridge.
It's pretty hood, bro.
Yeah, it's rough, right?
Yeah, it's pretty hood. Yeah.
So the postcard hits her house, calls us. Our acquisition team member comes in the office, says, Max, this lady wants $50,000 for her house.
Oh
And I
my
go,
God.
Right now? I'm like, it's like, right, like she'll take it. She's like, yeah, but she can't meet us on the house till Friday. And I'm like, no, lock it up. We'll wait because I was like, man, is this thing a tear down or what is it? So Ryan and I drive to the house on Friday. We got it locked up already. Drive to the house.
You were expecting like a plot of land.
I was expecting to come over and put my finger in this house was gonna fall over,
a
right?
tear down.
A tear down.
A shit box.
Shit box. And so as we pull up to the house, it wasn't that at all. I mean, it had the brick fence. I mean, it was a brick home, right? Because those houses are a little older. And so the weeds were high and everything. Obviously, needed new windows and roof. But this is why I'm saying the story. So we get off. Lady shows up with her granddaughter. So she opens the door. We can't walk in there, bro. There's right. There's stuff piled half like from the
So they
floor.
were hoarders?
Yeah, the son was living there.
She wanted to get rid of a problem.
She wanted to get rid of a problem, and so as we were there, because I didn't build a rapport with her, it was our acquisition guy. We just happened to go walk it. I come out, and so Ryan's talking to her, and I said, "Hey, I want to ask you a question." I said, "What was it that made you, what was it that they indicate, or what was the deciding factor that had you to want to work with us?" And she goes, "You know what? I get many postcards." She says, "A lot of them. But the one thing that yours had was my name on it, not my deceased husband." She's all, every other postcard had my deceased husband and not my name. And obviously I played into that and I said, "What does that tell you about us?" And she goes, "Well, it says that you guys know what you're doing, this and that." So anyways,
That was the difference maker.
That was the difference maker. Exactly. That's what I was saying is that the data, right? The data matters when it comes to direct mail.
Wow.
There's power behind that.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to what we made on that deal. So we got that deal. We found a buyer and double closed it at $215,000.
That's nuts.
So we made $165,000
One deal.
on one deal. Yeah,
That's nuts.
through direct mail.
All because you had the right data.
The right data, and obviously, like you were saying, direct mail happens to have the highest ROI, but you got to have the longest patient before it pays off.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's definitely a pipeline type of game,
It's a
right?
pipeline type of game. Yeah.
Some people grab that piece of mail and they put it on their fridge,
Yep.
and just in case they need it,
Yeah.
right? Because they know they might get there in 3 months or 6 months
exactly.
or 9 months. So,
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, so we're gonna do some rapid fire here because
Yep.
we're gonna close down or start winding down on the show, right? Top 3 marketing strategies. We kind of talked about that already. It's we like pay per click, we like PPL, and we like cold calling, right?
Yeah, exactly.
3 being the least expensive. We did talk about that on the previous episode.
Yep.
Right. We liked what do we like? We liked door knocking.
Virtual driving.
Driving for dollars was the
dollars,
main one.
Right.
Virtual driving for dollars.
Bandit signs hardly work. They do
Yeah.
work in some markets, but
Title companies as well. We talked about that.
title companies in what
So
aspects?
we broke that down very well in the last
Got it.
podcast.
So go back to the previous show, right? Okay, next is what marketing strategies have you used in 2024 to grow our business? Again, cold calling and
Don't sleep on cold calling.
yeah, cold calling and pay per click. And we are about to add some PPL. We're in the talks with a really solid individual out there. If we collaborate and start cross pollinating with this person, you'll start to hear his name and his company's name on the show more often, right? So, how have you had to adapt as the industry has changed over the years? You got to keep your eye on the ball, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're right. Everything changes, and it changes very frequently. From MAO formula, right? That was a big pivot
Word
that we had
tracks,
to make.
conversations.
Right? Yeah, conversations, word track, motivation in the market, the economy, right? So we've had to adapt, and the companies out there that are keeping their eye on the ball, you will adapt, and those that don't adapt will die, right?
Exactly.
Okay. How will the landscape of the real estate industry change if Trump or Biden wins? That's how we're going to end this one today, right?
That's a whole podcast by itself, bro.
Yeah. So let's go around. I'll finish it. We'll go around with you. How will the real estate industry be affected depending on who becomes president?
I mean, it's. I mean, the proof has already been proven, right? If you want, for the lack of better
Give
words.
it to me.
What happened when Trump was here, right? What were some of the benefits in regards to...
People were making some money.
Yeah, people were making money, right? Interest rates were low. I mean, obviously, there was a lot of money pumped into the economy because of
that was
COVID,
2020.
but that was 2020, yeah. You had the opportunity zones that we were talking about, right? If you bought in these areas, I mean, just tax breaks after tax breaks, right? And what happens as soon as Biden steps in is that right away he cuts those tax breaks, right, for investors, bro. So it's not a big debate here in regards to how it's going to change for either the positive or the negative. Trump is a real estate friendly or entrepreneur friendly, president, right? Business friendly. And so when you have that type of leadership where they understand that America itself
It's an economy.
It's an economy,
Yeah.
right? And entrepreneurship, small businesses to large businesses that employ people and that their livelihood depends on, having these breaks and understanding, like, that's why, you can see that the way when the government works is through like the minimum wage, right? They increase it and everything goes up. Like, it's a cause and effect. But yeah, there's no really, it's there in black and white. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
Yeah.
Ryan, what about you, brother?
I'm not going to be as intricate as my brother Max here. I'm very just black and white with this. So here's what I'll say. I was in the financial business for years, over a decade, with Merrill Lynch and things like that. So I've been hearing about these elections for over 2 decades now. And I've been hearing it with real estate. And at the end of the day, guess what? Nothing stops. Real estate keeps going on. I don't even pay attention to the little bit of the changes because we just adapt and move forward. So that's just the way that I am wired. I don't have the time or the patience to deal with Trump or Biden. I don't care. The world goes on, and I have to adapt and move forward. That's a Rhino mentality, baby.
That's keeping it real.
That's keeping it real. I'll finish it up here. As you guys know, I think a lot of people out there would consider me highly political. And you know what's crazy? I was having this conversation earlier.
It's truth, bro.
That's what I was going to tell you.
Controversial.
Was it
Can we
me
say
and you?
highly
Yeah, me and you were
controversial?
talking.
It was me. So me and Max were talking off the record, right? As we normally do. We talk a lot off the record. I call him, he'll call me, and we'll just talk, talk some shop and talk whatever.
Hey, I'm up at 2:33 in the morning. When are we going
You're
to have
working
those
out, bro.
conversations?
You're working out.
Okay.
So I'm having this convo, and I said, it's funny. People think that I'm highly political, right? But then they can also think that I'm highly religious, and then they can also think that I'm highly business, and they can think that I'm highly family, right? No, I've just always been a person that is bold in the truth, right?
I agree.
No matter what's going on, like for me, it's not about Trump or Biden.
Yeah.
It's about my 2 little daughters that I have at home. Yeah. It's about America, the America that my mom risked her life, right? Risked her life for to bring me here, and I risked my life to come here twice, right? That's the America that I care about. And I feel like anytime that someone is messing with that America or what the American dream is, I just feel like that's not what I stand for, right? So it's not about Trump or Biden or and red and blue, or left or right. For me, it's like what do I align with the most? Who do I? Because you gotta pick your battles. It's like, do I want men in the restaurant with my daughters at Target, or do I want, logic? You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, right? So that's what it comes down to. And I believe, if Trump does win or when he wins, I feel like the economy will improve. I don't know if we can get any lower than what's going on. There's a lot of people hurting right now in the economy.
I learned this a long time ago. Someone said this is, don't focus on what someone says, watch what they do. So how does that apply to that? Is Trump sometimes religion, or does he say things wrong? Yeah, we all do. If you pull back the curtain, now check this out though. We all do, right? I mean,
Max.
Biden, everyone else, whoever, right? You pull the curtain back, everybody's messy. But what about the policies that are in place? Let's look at that.
What about on a geopolitical stage where the guy is going to North Korea, where the guy is friends with Putin, where
nobody's ever
we're
done
not
that.
in any wars,
nobody's
where we're
ever done
not,
that.
where we're taking care of America first, right? What about all that stuff, right? So that's what I care. To this day, I'll tell you this: my favorite president of all time is FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That's my favorite president of all time. To this day, look up his documentary, and you'll know why. The Social Security Act, right? Getting us through 2 world wars, right? Getting us through the economy, the depression, right? So that guy had so much fight in him, right? So with that being said, I am excited for next week's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, do us a huge favor, right? We don't charge anything for the show. We don't get paid anything to do the show. We do it for you guys, and all we're asking you to do is share, like, comment, right? And just, continue to help us get on the map. We're already seeing some great traction with the show. And our goal is to be the #1 real estate investing show in the country. We cannot accomplish that without you. So until next week,